The Buccaneers held on for a 1917 win. Bill Belichick was grumpy afterwards. Tom Brady euphoric. He said he actually kept the game ball, which is something you don't really see Tom Brady do that much. Like he was walking around the post game with the game ball. What's your biggest takeaway from this game?
Well, number one, it is shocking to see Tom Brady keep a game. The guy has Super Bowl game balls. He has MVP season game balls. He does, so if he's keeping the game ball, obviously very important to him. This, I feel like if I were going to make a winners and losers list, Belichick and the Patriots are absolutely on the winner's side of this list. I couldn't believe how well they played. It was like Belichick just said, guys, do whatever you want the first 3 weeks of the season. I'm going to be in my office game planning for week 4 so that Tom Brady doesn't beat us by 40 points. And Collinsworth mentioned on the broadcast like 20 times how they were just switching up their coverage, just switching up everything they do on every single play so that Brady had no idea how to attack it. So Brady watches hours and hours of film. I'm sure Belichick was doing things that Brady had never seen, or maybe, Brady thought these tendencies were coming that never came.
Yeah, I don't think it's so much that it's stuff he'd never seen. It's that you run everybody up to the line of scrimmage, make it look like you're doing cover 0, and then you drop a bunch of people. So you basically take away Tom Brady's brain, so to speak, or like try to confuse his brain and his eyes, basically.
Right, and it worked. I mean, it absolutely worked. I think there were people, I shared the tweets with you, people on Twitter getting grumpy because it was 7-6 at halftime and calling it the boringest game ever, not living up to the hype. I bet you regret those tweets now because they backfired in your face, because this game was awesome right down to the Nick Folk field goal. And,
you know what it was? It was like Pete Blackburn, our old pal. It's like tweeting about how this game stunk. It's like, no, Blackburn, you're just a Pats fan who's like dealing with the fact that Brady's beating you. That's what you're upset about.
And I do want to know how Patriots fans feel about this, because it was, I'm sure a lot of Patriots fans thought that the Buccaneers were going to steamroll them. And that's the truth. If you read social media, they weren't really expecting the win. And then I'm sure during the game, they're like, holy crap, we could win this game. And then you lose kind of in excruciating fashion. And at the end, you're like, all right, well, Brady won and it was a close game. I'm happy. So Tom Brady played well when he had to. He wasn't great in this game, and it was classic Tom Brady. So you could put him on this winners list. And I don't even know who everybody was a winner in this game except for the actual Patriots in the records.
Yeah. Tom Brady finished 22 of 43 for 269 yards, no touchdowns and interceptions. He did, however, break the all-time record for most passing yards, previously held by Drew Brees, who was on the sideline. Unlike Drew Brees, Tom Brady did not get a laminated sheet announcing that he was the new record holder in a 15-minute ceremony in the middle of the game. Instead, he just went down and they
although it was almost as awkward, since
it was more awkward almost, yeah.
Because Brady didn't break the record, and then they added a yard to the play that broke the record. So he didn't break the record on a play, and then the refs moved the ball, I guess, like 2 feet forward, and said, okay, instead of going for 27 yards, this play actually went for 28 yards. So he did break the record, and all of a sudden there was some confusion about whether or not he broke the record, and it turned out he did. It happened during a timeout, the game of football, and that was it.
Look, I'm fine with that. I don't think that Tom Brady... I think that speaks to who Tom Brady and Drew Brees are as people, or I mean, not like people, but just like Drew Brees needs that additional, accolades of breaking the record in the middle of the game. Like, let's stop it. And it's at home too, so it's a little different in that sense. Brady's in the middle of a drive against Bill Belichick in this huge Sunday Night Football game. The last thing Tom Brady wants to do is stop playing football and take 2 minutes to like get thanked by the Patriots crowd. I would guess that he actually told the Pats and the NFL and the Bucs, or communicate through somebody like, look, don't stop the game. If you want to pause it and throw something up there, that's cool, but don't stop the game and like try to, make a big deal out of this. Mac Jones would be on the winners list too, right?
Oh, absolutely. I thought Mac Jones was phenomenal. And it was crazy because he played well when you thought he would implode, in the situations where you thought he would implode, where the Buccaneers throwing blitzes in his face, and he was just picking them apart. I think he completed 19 straight passes at one point, which tied Tom Brady's record,
all-time career record,
most career consecutive completion. So the fact that he did that, and it wasn't dink and dunks, he was throwing it, 10 yards downfield and accurately and moving the Patriots when they need to be moved. And there was that one clutch drive after the Buccaneers went up 16-14. Boom. Mac Jones takes them straight down. They go up 17-14. Or even when Tampa Bay took a 13-7 lead, boom, Mac Jones drives them straight down the field. They go up 14-13. So I thought he was absolutely clutch. And if that is the Mac Jones that the Patriots are going to get going forward, then they're in good shape.
Yeah, that's the take. That's a big takeaway for me. And I've seen a little bit of pushback from people suggesting that, it's like, all right, let's hold off on crowning Mac Jones. Yeah, that's fine. We don't need to crown Mac Jones. I mean, I don't know that I would also push back on he dinked and dunked a lot more than I think. It felt like he was playing really well, and he wasn't he wasn't Ben Roethlisberger out there. He wasn't throwing it just to screens and slants and all that. He was moving in the pocket really well. He was adjusting to the blitz. I think Chris Collinsworth brought up the stat that said at one point late in the fourth quarter, he was 12 of 14 for something like 107, maybe 200 yards and maybe a touchdown against the blitz, which is really impressive because Todd Bowles does some crazy stuff with his blitzes, and Mac Jones was moving nicely in the pocket. They got outside and was making throws on the run when needed to be. He actually ended up with 2 passing touchdowns in that game. Yeah, as you can see, I mean, he was throwing to the intermediate a lot, but he wasn't like stretching the field or anything per se. 31 of 40 for 275 yards, 2 touchdowns and a pick. Mac Jones was. I mean, I think if you told the Patriots that if Mac Jones throws 40 times and they have a kick with a minute left inside of 60 yards to win the game, they probably would have signed for that before the game, honestly.
Yeah, and the intermediate passes right there, 19 of 25. I mean, you'll take that all day from your rookie quarterback on intermediate throws. Those aren't the dink and dunks. That's, it's not easy to throw it downfield. And yeah, absolutely. If you say before the game to a Patriots fan what you just said, Brinson, hey, this is going to come down to a field goal. Are you okay with that? They're all going to be on board 100%.
Okay,
now,
what was that? I want to see what the intermediate, what was the distance?
You'll have to ask Debo. He had the
what was
graphics.
the distances on the intermediate? Sorry. Oh, I mean, the intermediate is line of scrimmage at 10 yards. So
158. But he threw for.
I'm just saying, if you go look at the next gen stat chart, I think his average depth of target was like five yards or so. Look, it was pouring down rain. The ball was slippery. Nobody was playing well in the passing game, and the Buccaneers were completely snuffing out the Patriots' running game. Do you know who the Pats' leading rusher was?
I thought you were going to ask me if I knew who the Buccaneers' leading rusher was.
Because the Pats' leading rusher was Nelson Aguilar.
I think
Nelson Aguilar's their wide receiver.
Tom Brady had more rushing yards than the entire Patriots team in this game. That is the most mind-boggling stat.
That's a great stat, yes.
And Brady only had 3 rushing yards, by the way, and the Patriots had -1 for the game.
Speaking of people who, well, I'll just wait till he pops up. Wilson's on his way right now. By the way, if you want to watch the podcast, we go live after Thursday night, Sunday night, and Monday Night Football on YouTube, youtube.com/pick6. It's Ryan Wilson, y'all.
Howdy.
Hey.
How much did I miss?
Well, we didn't think you were going to show because we thought you were going to be spending your millions at your new penthouse in Vegas because you never miss on your against picks.
Not too bad, huh? Not too shabby for a what's the opposite of a sharp? A dull?
A square.
Square.
For a guppy instead of a whale.
That's right.
I can't wait till you go like 1 in 15.
And just for the record, everyone, Ryan Wilson is 43-18 against the spread.
What am I this week, Johnny?
You would be first in the super contest with that kind of record. That's insane.
Well, you'd only pick 5 games, but yes.
12-3.
43-18 is crazy.
43-18 is
not bad, right?
I went 5-10. Woof. That's bad.
Hey, we're tied, Brinson.
Straight up, so you got that going for you.
Brinson and I are literally tied. We just recapped most of the game. You know what you got here just in time because I was going to ask Brinson a question. You guys can both answer it. What do we think about Belichick's decision to kick a 56-yard field goal at the end of the game?
So that's the question I asked JJ and Eric Asilius when we were on HQ a few minutes ago, because when it's 4th and 3, 37-yard line, pouring down rain, 56-yarder, you're like, okay, you got to go for it. I mean, that's just the reality of it.
You need more yardage to feel like you're going to win.
Well, out comes Nick Folk, and I don't know if you guys talk about this, but he smokes it and misses it.
Kick it all, yeah.
Yeah, so he kicks it, the ball leaves his foot, and up until about 4 feet from the goalpost, you're like, oh my God, he's going to make this. So I would imagine, and JJ brought this point up, that Bill Belichick knew exactly how far Nick Folk could kick it because he had made how many in a row, Breach?
35, I believe.
36.
It was the longest active streak in the NFL.
Yeah, his 36 straight field goals.
His longest was 56, so it tied his longest. But Belichick, special teams guru, knows everything. I would imagine he factored in the weather. But I was of the opinion until the ball hit the upright, it's like, okay, you have to go for it. But clearly, he liked those odds better. I think all the advanced metrics said go for it. Not surprised.
Yeah.
But I don't have an issue with it in retrospect. At the time,
Ben Baldwin's fourth down bot said it would have added 2.3 win probability to go for it by going for it. I guess. I guess you get it, obviously.
Yeah.
As the person here who always votes to kick field goals, well, at least 99% of the time, I think I would have gone for it and not kick the field goal. And there's a couple reasons. Number one, we talked about, I would, as Belichick, I'm loving that my kickers made 36 straight field goals. That's encouraging, but only 4 of those field goals have come from 46 yards or further, and only 2 of them have come from 50 or further, and the furthest one during his streak was 51. So they don't really ask him to kick that far very often. So maybe I ask him to do it in perfect weather, but not in a torrential downpour where it looks like a hurricane's about to hit Massachusetts.
Yeah, but John, how long until you realized that the kick wasn't going to be good when the ball left his foot?
When it left his foot, I thought it was going to fall short. It was kind of, it came off a little weird. So I was actually surprised I was like, that's dead middle, but I honestly thought it was falling short as soon as he hit it. And the fact that it got to the upright added more drama because it just kept going. And I was like, that's not, because you can kind of see it fall below the crossbar if you're watching the ball. It wasn't going to fall below the crossbar. I was like, oh my God, that might go in.
Well,
so,
does the fact that Belichick decided, I just wondering, does the fact that Belichick decided to kick it, coupled with the fact that it was really, really close to going in,
yes,
justify the decision a little bit more? I feel like it does.
Well, I was just going to say that the other reason I was against it is because even if he makes it, you're still leaving time for Tom Brady. 55 seconds, 2 timeouts. We saw the last
Tom
2
Brady's
weeks
getting a field goal attempt.
We saw the last 2 weeks where 2 different coaches went for it on 4th down. Brandon Staley, John Harbaugh, to make sure Patrick Mahomes did not get back on the field. You know who didn't do it last week? The 49ers against Aaron Rodgers. He goes straight down and gets that field goal. Yeah, you said it, Brinson. Tom Brady's getting field goal 55 seconds in 2 timeouts.
Let me to pull Brinson play devil's avocado. So the when you go for it on 4th and 3, which again in the moment I was fine with it, but I'm with Brinson. I think in that I was after the fact like, oh, okay, he knows what he's doing. But prior to that, the 3rd down pass was knocked down to the line of scrimmage. Prior to that, he almost threw an interception to Devin White, and I'm like, okay, maybe Mac's a little tight. He played great. I think we all agree.
Yeah,
maybe he outplayed Brady. I don't know, but maybe that also factored into the decision to kick it because like, okay, we keep playing with fire here. At some point, Mac Jones is going to throw a pick 6.
Yeah, I mean, I think that probably had something to do with it. Is Mac had been playing really well, but was being asked to do like almost play above where he needed to be playing in order to try and win that football game. And I think he gave you everything you could have possibly asked for.
Almost like someone thought he was the best quarterback in that draft last year.
That's true.
Take your victory lap, Brian. Just do it.
Justin Fields had a good day too. We'll get to all those rookie quarterbacks shortly. All right. Anything else to take away from this? I mean, I do feel as if this was, I mean,
did you guys talk about the concerns with the Buccaneers secondary?
No, that's a good point. It is a
ton of injuries.
That's a separate podcast, Ryan. That could take 2 hours.
Well, here's the upside if you're a Buccaneers fan. So Antoine Winfield left with concussion. Carlos, what's his name? Who got hurt?
Carlton Davis.
Carlton Davis, excuse me, got hurt. He left. He couldn't even walk off the field. Bunting wasn't playing already. They had another. Jamal Dean, I think, is out as well. Here's the good news. The next 2 months, they don't play a team with a winning record. So I'll tell you
serious?
Miami, at Philly, Chicago, at Washington, New York, Giants, at Colts, at Atlanta. Their bye week's in there as well. And then in week 14, they play the Bills. So they have 2 months to get as healthy as they want to get and moonwalk their way into the division title. And look, maybe these teams, someone pulls an upset, but those are 7 games. Out of those 7 games that I mentioned, how many are they losing?
I mean, the way they're playing, maybe 2.
You don't
they're playing bad. They're going to lose 2. The Dolphins, Eagles on a short week on the road. I guess they could lose that. Bears at home, they're winning that. At Saints on Halloween. Ooh, spooky. Oh, great. Halloween's on a Sunday. Fantastic.
That means we'll be dressed up for the podcast.
No, we will. It'll be great. But I mean, it's like my wife's going to be like, we need to go spend time as a family.
I'm going to be Tom Brady.
at Bucs, Giants at home. Of those 6 games, I mean, I would think 5-1 is probably fairly likely.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. I mean, 4, I guess Breech isn't crazy. 4-2 could happen, but 5-1 probably likely. And with, when you look at the division, the Panthers are now 3-1, the Saints are 2-2, and the Falcons are 1-3. None of those other 3 teams have inspired me to believe, even though they all 2 of them have a bigger net point differential than the Bucs. None of them really inspire me that they're going to challenge Tampa Bay.
And the bigger takeaway, even though Breech is trying to passive aggressively make them into losers, everyone will be healthy heading into Week 14 when they face the Bills.
Yeah, there you go.
And what did this team do last year? Got everybody healthy, got everybody on the same page at the end of the year, and went on a run, won the Super Bowl.
Oh, worth noting. As we saw, Albert Breer tweeted out that Patriot Breer tweeted out Patriots coach Bill Belichick just went to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers locker room, which I think is kind of interesting.
He also had a blowtorch. I don't know what that meant.
He was carrying a spear gun.
And he was wearing a Jason Voorhees mask.
Yeah, a big knife. It's very interesting to know. Oh, there you go. Oh, that's cool. So Breer points out Patriots coach Bill Belichick's been in the Bucs locker room for over 20 minutes now. He went in there and he and Tom Brady retreated to a quiet area. A lot was made out of this game in the sense that, and we're spending a ton of time on this game, but I don't feel like it's an inappropriate amount of time, really. We'll just blitz through some of the other stuff. This is, I never felt like this game was too hyped up.
I thought
this game was like worth the hype.
Yeah, I thought it was a little overhyped.
Well, I think, Ryan, it was overhyped, but then it lived up to the hype.
Yeah, I loved the game. I don't mind the low-scoring game. I thought it was incredibly exciting. I loved how the game unfolded, but I don't know about does the Today Show need to be there? Like that?
Yes.
I mean, okay, if they do, then that's
how many times is a 6-time Super Bowl winner won 6 Super Bowls with the team and then plays that team? Yeah, like do it. This is a once in a lifetime NFL thing. You're not going to have a guy play for a team for 20 years and then get to play that guy against the genius head coach with the coach and the quarterback both being surefire Hall of Famers. Like it's a once in a lifetime.
It will almost certainly never happen again.
Well,
like the idea that the same coach who coached a quarterback for 20 years.
I will guarantee it never happens again. And by the way, are we sure they're both Hall of Famers?
Wilson.
Are you laughing at Brinson? Is that a Brinson joke?
So when Peyton Manning played the Colts, they were coached by Chuck Pagano. And Devo's put up the list of teams that have Super Bowl winning quarterbacks, notable ones who played against their old coach. I believe, was Montana against Walsh or was he against Seifert?
It was not against Walsh. Walsh was
on.
on.
Right, so that's a good case maybe of like something similar. But I mean, like even the 49ers run was nothing time-wise compared to what the Patriots did.
I think that Brett Favre, there was more animosity. That's what I'm talking. That's what's lacking in this game. No animosity. Peyton Manning Colts. That was a love fest. Tom Brady Patriots was pretty much a love fest as well because
it was a love fest. The Pats fans cheered and were chanting like Brady, Brady, and then as soon as the game started, like boo.
But there's the mystery of the Belichick-Brady relationship, which you don't know if that's good or not. And that was kind of, it's Belichick versus Brady. Great defensive mind versus great offensive mind. It was, there was Ultimate Warrior versus Hogan in WrestleMania 6.
No, legit animosity, Brett Favre versus Packers. Like he was incredibly angry. He retired 15 times. He went to the division rival. Like the Buccaneers, I mean, no one cares about the Buccaneers until he arrived there, except for when they won it in 2002. So I think that's the word I was looking for. It lacked any sort of animosity heading into the game. It was more love fest than anger.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And both, the other thing too is, with the addition of Mac Jones, Patriots fans and the Patriots feel good about where their direction in theory, even though the team.
Yeah, they got baby Brady. I mean, it's not like they lost,
And Brady just won the Super Bowl. So it's not like, it's not like.
And they were all pulling for Brady and Gronk to win the Super Bowl.
For sure. By the way, Tom Brady said Brady followed Belichick out of the Buccaneers locker room. And then Brady is doing his media right now and said, we just said we'd catch up after the game a bit, Brady says, with Mike Reese. In other words, Bill Belichick, notoriously pretty private person, didn't want to make it I think he probably told him, let's catch up after this whole scrum. He didn't want to have a, 10-minute hug it out session.
Midfield.
Yeah. And it was a short, not prolonged thing. And
I thought it was impressive that he actually found him out and hugged because he had to wait in line for, 15, 20 seconds to get to Brady, gave him a quick hug and walked off because, Tom Coughlin will tell you after that Super Bowl, he's still looking for for Bill Belichick out there in the field to shake his hand.
Hey, Nick Foles is still walking around with his hand out looking for Tom Brady. And by the way, on that, if you were watching it live, you could hear like the cameras are focused on Brady, and all of a sudden the camera's like and like shakes violently, and there's just like this loud noise, and you're like, what was that? And then it was clearly like security like shoving people out of the way to let Belichick get through.
Breech actually tweeted this, to go back to the field goal for a moment. Do they have the world's loudest mic on the left upright as you look at? I mean, that was like a gunshot.
I thought a gunshot. I thought it was a shotgun blast in my backyard. Like, what is going? Good for NBC. I guess after the double doink from Cody Parkey, they're like, we need to mic up the uprights.
Always be prepared.
We got to make sure we got that stuff. Yeah, that was amazing. You know what? The Patriots are 1-3. This is the first time they've started 1-3 since 2001.
What happened that year?
When they won the Super Bowl. And also, they fell to 1-3 because Tom Brady lost in his first road start of his career. So that is how long ago they went 1-3. And also, Brady becomes the fourth quarterback in NFL history to defeat all 32 teams. There is our list. We already mentioned Peyton Manning in a revenge game, Brett Favre in a revenge game, and then obviously you throw Drew Brees on there.
Did you say this fun fact already, Johnny? You're burning through all my fun facts I had written down here.
Sorry.
Tom Brady has one more win in New England this year than New England does.
I did not.
Finally got one.
That's a very fun fact.
That is a fun fact. All right. Is that enough on the Belichick Brady? Anything else you want to add to it?
Yeah, I wouldn't have hustled up here. I'd have gone out and grabbed a beer. You guys aren't barely getting going here.